Hey, it's Derick Gant, the 24K Life podcast, and we have the most prolific guest we have ever, wait a second, ever had. When I read this gentleman's bio, I felt like I needed to go back to school, give my degrees back just to read his bio. So I am so excited because I have done tons of reading and tons of homework and research over the many, many years and done the best that I can do to continue to elevate myself. But man, this guy is teaching it. And even when you get to the bio, he's been doing it for 51 years. Like, if you want to say expert or I don't know what's higher than a guru, this is the guy. Without further ado, let me introduce you. Dr. G, how are you, sir?
I'm very good. Thank you for that introduction.
Oh my God.
I'll do my best to live up to that.
I didn't even get started. So you are the founder of Depth Healing Technology. Yeah. And I'm going to go through the litany of excellence that you deliver. So inside of the Healing Technology Group, you touch on the crafts of health, quantum science, personal development, conscious and brain research, classical Japanese sword, Zen, Aikido, Oneness, is it Deeksha?
Deeksha, that's
Deeksha,
right.
Energy psychologies, brain reprogramming, military science, quantum I told you who I was bringing to the table, quantum biology, ecosystems, spiritual, mystical experiences, and he has over 51 years of experience. Again, if I could bow to you, I would bow to you. They bow in Thailand. You're in Thailand. Do they bow in Thailand?
Yeah, what they do is they do this in Japan. Because my education is largely Japanese. They bow. Here they call it a Y, and they'll go like this.
Okay.
To acknowledge each other.
Excellent. Well, you're going to hear the beautiful background noises, and they're not really noises, they're melodies of the birds. Dr. G is in Thailand. He lives in Thailand. He was just telling me about his ultimate Zen energy spot that's a little bit away from his primary residence. So tell us about where you are and how you got to Thailand.
Okay, well, I moved to Thailand in 2015, and it was the wisest thing I ever did. And I used to live in Georgia. I was a licensed doctor in Georgia and in Tennessee. And I never could have any kind of financial success. Mm-hmm. Never. I did all the different things that you mentioned, but I still could not have financial success. So then I moved over here and I changed the energy field. And then at that time, because I had left at that time I was married.
Okay.
When I was on my own here, I was able to develop the wealth consciousness and make all of the shifts. And now I'm a very wealthy man. By Thai standards, I would be considered a millionaire in Thailand.
Okay.
So I arrived here with just a couple of dollars, and I didn't know how to speak language. I still don't. And everything is 180 degrees different. So I finally have the success because I found out how to make the shifts. It was cognitive dissonance. Once that was removed and I made I learned how to really cultivate a bond with the divine, everything moves very, very easily. So that's what I do for people now.
So that was a lot. That was a lot. So you got to, and you have to forgive me for my frankness, but I'm that guy that's just shoot straight. There's no ill will intended. But you're telling me that you're a white male that's a doctor in America, and you're telling me you didn't have any financial success. And I'm going, well, what did this dude have to do? What happened? What was that about, Doc?
It's actually real simple neurology. We have the science now to explain that. So it's cognitive dissonance. And this is the fundamental issue for all human beings, because it's the way we're designed by the universe. You're made in a particular way.
Okay.
So first thing is always understand when I'm explaining something, the nature of your reality is the subconscious mind is running everything. Okay.
Correct.
Subconscious mind processes 40 million bits of information per second. The educated frontal cortex, what I call the educated brain, only processes 40
Okay.
bits of information per second. So there's a ratio of power and control 1 to 1 million. So the subconscious mind overrules everything. It's operating 95% of the day. Conscious brain is only operating a maximum of 5% of the day. It's just the way you're designed. Now, the issue is our subconscious mind does nothing but absorb until we turn 7.
Okay.
Frontal cortex activates at the age of 7. But before that, once you're in the womb, all the way through to 7, all your subconscious mind is doing is absorbing everything. It's a survival mechanism. If you're born as a child in Manhattan, New York, you require completely different information than the kid that's born in the Amazon Delta. So that's the way we're made for survival.
Okay.
Now the trick is that comprises by the age of 7 approximately, if you do the math, about 10 quadrillion bits of information. That forms the software that the brain uses. So once you turn 7 and the brain shifts up into a alpha brainwave pattern and starts to think and discern, everything that you see, hear, experience, it uses the data, but none of that data is yours. It's mom and dad and the house.
It's inherited.
It's utterly. Now here's the issue that happened with me. My dad, if you know who Charles Bronson was,
oh yeah,
my father was a hardcore World War II boxer in the Canadian Navy, and he was a Polak. He was born a boy from Polish immigrants that had come into Canada during the Great Depression. So life is rough in the Great Depression on the hard side of the tracks in little tiny Windsor, Ontario, back in the Great Depression.
Right.
So my dad, a very smart man, worked for Ford's, was a middle class. We grew up just fine, but Pop had complete fear, worry, and lack consciousness.
Yeah, and I'm sure most of society did because of the depression.
That's exactly right. Subconscious mind goes backward in time.
Mm-hmm.
It does not go forward. This goes forward, but the subconscious is your dad and his dad and it goes back like that. Now,
okay.
Remember, it has 1 million times more power. So what happened was, I'm like a type A. I'm not I am a type A personality, and I was like a super achiever. And because I wanted to be loved and respected. That is what was driving me, right?
Right.
Now, I learned all these different things, and I used to attend I know all the business information of Tony Robbins and John Assaraf and Bob Proctor and Brendan. I know those guys inside and out. And over 20 years, I attend all that stuff and I apply all that stuff. It never worked at all.
Really?
Never. And here's why. I would get all of the ideas and my why and all my planning, and I want to go to the right. And my subconscious mind from dad said, no way, you'll never do that. You cannot do that. You're not smart enough. You don't know the right people. And we're just middle class guys. You're never going to be a rich man. And consequently, that had 1 million times more power. And then in so I taught the military, and I was a martial specialist for a long time. And then I decided to become a licensed doctor, and I apprenticed under a number of great master doctors. And then when I moved from Texas, where I graduated, to Georgia, I met Dr. Larry Habursky.
Okay.
Larry Habursky is a master of the quantum field, one of the most brilliant doctors I ever met in my entire life. And for 8 years, I apprenticed under him, and he taught me and cleared me of cognitive dissonance. So you go in right into the subconscious mind. This is what I do in my work.
Okay.
And I find those original downloads that are hindering your progress, giving you the glass ceiling, whatever it is, and I completely disintegrate them. They're gone.
Gone.
They're totally and utterly gone. Now, when they're gone, your entire field, all your brain, your nervous system, everything adjusts and reboots.
Okay.
In that process, your perception changes. Because if what I'm doing is with this kind of technology, if you always saw the cup half empty, now you see the cup half full.
Okay.
What does that do? That changes your vibration, and everything in the universe operates by the law of resonance. Everything, no exceptions. Once that vibe is a prosperous, happy, motivated vibe, the wealth just comes.
Excellent.
Success just comes. The right people come. Everything in the universe operates like that. So when I came here, I moved here in 2015. I met Dr. Habursky in 2007. Okay. So I was removing cognitive dissonance left, right, and center every single week because there's a lot in there. Mm-hmm. And then in 2013, I got introduced to Deeksha.
Okay.
And Deeksha is an energy transfer, but it's from the divine. It's not like Reiki or something. It goes directly into your brain. Now it's been studied with functional brain scans. And a Deeksha, what it does is it lights up the frontal cortex powerfully, and it starts to disassemble with neuroplasticity the areas in the brain along the parietal lobes that are responsible for your triggers, your fears, worry, anxiety. They just start to break down. My work also just starts to disassemble and break that down.
Okay.
When that stuff is gone, you're a different person. So when I moved here, everything changed so fast, it's unbelievable.
Okay, so I have a couple questions for you before you go past your work since you've moved there. So my first question is, I'm being slightly facetious because I think I know the answer, but do we need to move to an energy zone, a higher resonating, vibrating energy field in order to have success? Because, you said you moved there, the energy, man, maybe you didn't say it here because you and I were talking beforehand, but you were like, the energy zone that you're in, the vibration where you are is off the charts. So so the real question is, could you be successful today if you were living in Georgia with your new vibration, your new understanding, your cognizant dissonance, the elimination of the limiting beliefs and the triggers? So that's my question. That's my first question.
Okay, it's a very good one. I want to introduce the term morphic fields because that's all you're looking at in the universe is morphic fields.
Okay.
Your body is a morphic field. What does that mean? Simplest analogy is the Google Cloud.
Okay.
When you download something to the cloud,
yep.
The cloud is a morphic field, an electromagnetic field that bunches all of the photons of light together that hold the information you access when you punch in a question. That's called a morphic field.
Okay.
Morphic fields run everything. Okay. That's why astrology works. When the moon is full, it affects the tides, the earth, all human beings. That's a morphic field affecting you. Okay. And it affects emotion, consciousness, and everything.
Okay, let me stop you right there.
Okay.
What does and keep your thought. You're smart enough to keep your train of thought. But is this anything to do with the Akashic records?
No. Akashic. What is the Akashic Akashic records? Is like the big
That is the
He's
all-knowing.
like the accountant. He's
Yeah.
like the accountant of the universe.
Yes.
So the Akashic Records, folks, is there are certain realities in the universe, the major big powers, okay? Universal intelligence, the Akashic Records, the divine, the dark side. Akashic Records records, it's like a giant supercomputer, but it's alive. And everything from a Planckian spherical unit to a galaxy, everything is recorded. It's just checks and balances. There's no judgment of any kind whatsoever. It's just a check and balances.
Okay, so how does the morphic, what did you call it? I apologize.
A morphic field.
The morphic field. How does the morphic field play into that?
So let me, because his question is really cool. So here's the trick, okay? Let's take a football game, big football game.
My man.
I don't know how many people fit into one of those gigantic stadiums, but it's a hell of a lot of people.
Yeah, let's say 110,000.
Okay, now those 110,000 people are just regular, normal people like you and I. But when they get into the field that's created in that stadium, united about that game, and those people are identifying personally with those teams, that crowd of people can become violent or crazy. They can do all kinds of nutty things they would never, ever normally do.
Right.
Because the concentrated collective inside that stadium creates an emergent property of a different consciousness. And it influences the character, perceptions, and attitude, behavior of the people in the stadium. Depending on the person, what their level of consciousness is, they're strongly affected or they're not affected. It depends on the strength of the person.
Okay.
So to answer your question, at the level I am now, I can go anywhere in the world and I believe I will still have the same success.
Okay.
However, energy fields are enormously a real big reality. If you're in, for so many reasons, if you're in something like LA or you're in New York, there's an enormous amount of interference for you to receive grace or to hold a high frequency. There's a lot. You got to really put your attention and especially set your home. We call it in India, we call Vastu.
Vastu?
You want that Vastu. It means the home must be a place that inspires you, nurtures you, makes you feel strong, safe, happy, inspired. Otherwise, it is distorting your energy. Wow. And always remember, your surround is you. So when you're looking out at your friends, your associations, the amount of money you make, the state of your house, that's you.
Okay.
You understand it? There's no separation there. Wow. So if you go to a high energy place, like let's use some examples that a lot of people have heard of, like Machu Picchu.
Yeah.
Or you go to a big, you go to Stonehenge or some of those very famous places.
Yep, like in Arizona, there's a couple like spots.
Yes, we call that a conditioned space.
Okay.
And fit in a conditioned space, it will facilitate your growth or your intentions very, very strongly. It's like a magnifier. That's why nowadays what you can do is they have a lot of nice technologies that you can purchase, you put in your home, and it will amplify the energy field for you. And in that amplified energy field, when you're making your business plans, when you're making setting your intentions, it's magnified. It's much easier.
So if you were living in Georgia, you'd have one of these in your home?
I don't need it.
No. I said if you were living in Georgia, you would most likely have one of those? Or you don't need it because
I don't need it.
Oh, I see. I was going too far. You don't need it because you're there.
Well, my methodology is different. I don't need any kind of machines because I'm go directly. I have my own. My empowerments are through Tibet and India and Japan.
Okay.
And I just operate directly with myself. So
I love it. I love it. I want to get there. I need to get there. That is
it's a good place to be.
I can only imagine. I want to be there. So, I mean, you said so much. So someone that, I consider myself most likely more versed and well-read than most people. And you're just blowing me away. So you were talking about, and I have this question for you. You were talking about your subconscious only goes backwards and your cortex goes forward. So when you are doing cognitive dissonance and you're breaking up or what do you call it? Redoing or rearranging your subconscious, and it only goes backwards. How are you changing that?
I use frequencies. It's applied quantum physics via consciousness. So let's say you want to be an entrepreneur and you've been trying for years, and every time you get started, it always fails.
Okay.
So you call me up and you start telling me, I want to know your name of your dad, your mom. Dad is especially important because all our wealth, the way we're designed, the universe, our wealth is directly related to dad and dad's ancestor line.
Okay.
If life is easy or difficult or full of hassles, that's related to mom. So I start doing my it is.
Okay.
So I start doing my analysis, and then I'll say to you, I have them with their eyes closed so that when they ask the question, they open up the files for me.
Okay.
And I'll say something like, at exactly what age did you receive your first download of lack or of that you're a failure? Now I can speak to the field, to your subconscious, to your nervous system. I can talk to it with surgical precision. I have to, because a lot of time people's lives depend on me. So I'll locate that exact age, and then I will disassemble it until it's zero. I'll disintegrate it. I disintegrate it. That's my empowerment through Tibet. I'm using destructive interference waves.
Mm-hmm.
And then I build your system up with constructive interference waves. So what I'm doing, folks, is I tear down the negative or the unskillful programming, whatever the belief is, and then I build you up. The trick is I'm out of the picture entirely. I don't have any part in any of this. I am a channel only.
Okay.
So your nervous system tells me what needs to go. Your brain, nervous system, and your field tells me what you need to be infused with. Where do I infuse them? The central chakras. Some information needs to go into your heart. Some of them need to go into the third eye. Some of them may need to go into the root chakra, or the Swadhisthana is the second chakra. A lot of them have to do, because you're dealing with wealth, it'll be the third chakra, Manipura. And I send the energy into the appropriate center. Everything is selected by the client completely.
Okay.
Make sense?
It makes great sense. So with all of your wisdom and all of your knowledge and all of your positive results since 2015, and all of your past experiences, being in America, so you've met vast number of people, from military people. So how important is wealth? And I'm a financial consultant, so don't think that I'm not being an ass. I'm being so serious. I'm being so serious and so sincere, because we know money runs the world, But, we also know that most people most people don't know what they're really desire, but they're really desiring love. They're desiring happiness. And so in the spectrum of the work that you're doing, you talk about wealth and money and finances, which I actually absolutely adore and love. I mean, I'm not against it at all, but I'm just asking, with all that is that the focal point? I mean, is that where we should be focused? And I know everybody focuses differently, so I guess hopefully you can kind of feel where I'm coming from, because I know it's a crazy question.
I think I do.
Okay.
I think I do. You let me know if I'm off.
Okay.
So let's describe first of all the idea of wealth. Okay, so think of wealth as a gestalt. Gestalt means a whole.
Yes.
So you have your body temple. Without the body temple healthy and happy, you have nothing, in my opinion.
Right.
Number 2 is your friends and your personal relationships.
Excellent.
Because life is relationship.
Okay.
If you're not there, I'm not here.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not there, the moon isn't there for you. So that's why everything equals you.
Okay.
And then if everything equals you, the whole total surround is a part of your wealth.
Right.
And that's why wealth is everything. Now, within wealth, there's the financial part.
Correct.
Always remember this. Wealth and financial wealth is not only correct and good, it's essential.
Yes.
We came here to this world to have our desires met. So you have we say the spiritual life and the earthly life, worldly life.
Right.
They're not separate, folks. Okay. They're not separate. So if a person has a higher consciousness or a higher connection in terms of their spiritual life, you will see that they're automatically wealthy in all kinds of way, every way.
Right.
If they want to attract money, that kind of person can easily attract the money.
Excellent. Okay. That answers my question. So I'm going to switch gears for a second. And hopefully we don't get lost, because you said you can talk all day and I can listen to you all day. I'm being serious. I can listen to you all day.
You.
I've read so much, and you're making this easy to digest. So I'm just loving this. So here's the question, right? And I try to think and I shouldn't say try to think. It's easy for me to think. I like to think like the common person that's on their journey. So the common person that's on their journey, so not the average person on their journey is listening to Joe Dispenza. They're listening to Abraham Hicks. Yeah. What's your trigger? What's your thought? Now, you've already told us what you think about Tony Robbins and some other people. And that's not a bad thing. It just is what it is, because you've done the work. So since you've done the work, what's your thought process about those entities?
Okay, well, I know I've met and I studied a seminar in Houston with Joe Dispenza. So Joe is very similar to me. He's originally trained and connected through the divine.
Okay.
His connection with the divine different was Ramtha, but mine is we call the Param Jyoti, the great compassionate light. It's all just the divine, whether you. That's another story.
No, I get it. Absolutely.
Now, Dispenza is a genius. He's a chiropractor. I'm a chiropractor.
Yep, I saw that.
He's a what we call Gonstead chiropractor. So he's like a kind of chiropractic that is like an engineer, structural engineer. I'm a network chiropractor, so I work with consciousness and the brain.
Okay.
Joe had his back broken, run over by a truck, and he healed it in 12 weeks with meditation. I broke my back in half when I was 27 at L5. I healed it in 12 weeks with meditation. So we
Wow.
got a lot of things in common. The fundamental difference is simply this, folks. Dispenza's way is he's developed a magnificent protocols for very strong meditation methods.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to actually change something that way, you can. If you can, and there's always in a big, if you listen to him, there's a big if.
Yes.
If you can find that many hours every single day, and if you can actually develop that level of intensity. When I broke my back in half, I was crippled. So I had all day to do the visualizing that programmed the subconscious that healed the body. Joe was the same way. He's in bed, nowhere to go. And for both of us, the future was steel rods in our back and all kinds of nice stuff.
I
So
see
we
where
had
you're
lots
going.
of motivation.
I see where you're going. I see where you're going. So if we want to come to you and have you just bust it up.
That's right. I do it for you.
Yeah.
All you do is show up like I'm looking at myself in this camera.
Okay.
All I do is see you, and I do it all for you. And I do it this fast, automatically. You come in condition A, you leave in condition B. And that's the fundamental difference.
Okay.
It's a big difference. So in a couple of days, I can do what it takes the other guy maybe a year to do.
Got you. So have you heard of Abraham Hicks?
I have, but I've never been drawn to study him. But they're very, very famous. I'm sure there's some real good stuff there.
Okay. Yeah. Excellent. All right. So let's go back, man, to what you're doing. So someone reaches out and you started to tell us, so you're going to ask about how far back in the family history does a person need to be prepared to share with you their grandparents, their great grandparents? How far back do we need to go?
Okay. So that's another good question. Fundamentally, so there are 10 programs that run everything. Okay. First program is called past lives.
Mm-hmm.
It's not exactly like you think the word past life, but it's past lives.
Okay.
Second one is genetic expression, but not genetics like you think in science. Genetic expression means your entire ancestry. Those two programs get activated at the moment of conception when your dad was making love to your mom.
Okay.
And when that sperm hits that egg, at that moment, those from those first two programs, they're drawn in at that time. The third program is where my work begins, from conception through to the womb, the birthing process, and the first 6 hours of life. That's the third program. Fourth program is from the first 6 hours to the end of the first 6 years.
Wow.
Fifth program is age 7, when the frontal cortex begins, until the age you are now. Sixth program is the solar system.
Mm-hmm.
Seventh program, the galactic system. Eighth program, or I think I lost my numbers, is the universal program. And finally, you have what's termed as the other realms. So you think of other realms like heaven and things like that. So my work is fundamentally from conception until your age now. I can go in there powerfully. Now, the stuff that comes from your grandfather's grandfather, that's a specialized area. I can do it a little bit, but I do not have. I saw one system, I don't know what it's called, but there was a genius that was a channel for the divine in Russia. And in Russia, they got a system that can specialize in going through the lineages and the past lives.
Okay.
That's a specialized area. And I did not learn that. I can do a little bit.
So I'm going to come see you. You're going to do your work. what's my work at that point? What's my work? I mean, how do I continue to elevate? I'm assuming it's everybody's individual desire to elevate. So you help me remove some limiting blocks. You help me remove some financial blocks. You know, I've been an entrepreneur forever, and you know, I've made millions over the span, but I'd like to make millions every year. And so you do your work. What's my work as I move forward?
Okay, that's a beautiful question. So first of all, once I change your perception, because the negative part, the cause of the issues are gone.
Okay.
Now the doors swing wide open, and you don't run into trouble. If you do run into trouble, it means we missed something. I go back and we repeat the process. So all you have to do when you see me is, number one, receive it, and then number two, try to become conscious of the changes.
Okay.
Because a lot of times the person, this work is all about becoming conscious. The more conscious you are, the more of your life you experience, and the richer your life becomes, right?
Right.
So if you're talking business as an entrepreneur, you tell me what the issues are. Maybe you haven't been able to get past a certain amount every year. There's some kind of a ceiling. We eliminate the ceiling, and then you just proceed forward.
Okay.
And what will happen is, as long as the dissonance is removed, then the subconscious will endorse your conscious brain, and you have sheer power.
So what I extracted, or at least a portion of what I extracted from what you just said, and maybe my interpretation is wrong, but earlier you was like, look, we're 95.5. So you say become conscious. So does this part grow? Are we trying to get to 10 to 20?
It grows.
Okay.
It grows in power. And then the triggers, as the triggers, just like if you ever saw me, I lived in a state of continual rage and frustration for over 20 years because I could never understand why nothing was working as far as money went.
Right.
Everything worked for me to develop, except I couldn't, nothing ever gave, I never had made money at all.
Right.
At all. And so I was very, very, very angry. And I was angry enough that I developed breast cancer, and little cancer. They cut it out of me in 2014. I don't use any medicines or any medical stuff. They just cut it out of me, and then it was from the anger. That's an epigenetic discussion.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, I lost your question. What was your question?
No. So we were just talking about the 95.5 and growing the consciousness. And so you were just telling me how that works.
Yeah. As the triggers, see, let's say you have a total power of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Triggers means something makes you mad or something scares you, gives you fear, gives you anxiety. So it's something in the environment, something you hear, see, whatever. It's a trigger, and then those emotions and that takes over your body.
Okay.
It takes over your consciousness. That drains your energy, folks, enormously. Mm-hmm. Now, as those things get shut off and removed, all that energy is available for the frontal cortex to think with great clarity. Now, when a trigger, the mind is a storytelling machine. And what happens is all of that data is in the subconscious. And then when you see or experience something, it turns on little stories. Stories are all in the past. Most of them don't even belong to you, but they turn on. And then we human beings, we identify with the story. So we get taken off, and all of that is lost. That's why, like with our host here, all of the top entrepreneurs, you'll see these guys, they have powerful laser focus.
Yes.
Powerful laser focus. They're here, and they're there, and they're on. Mm-hmm. so what I do in my work is I facilitate you to have more power so you can do that, so that all those triggers aren't pulling you this way, that way. And the trick with the society now is, of course, it's all designed so that you never develop this.
Exactly. The gaming, the music, the videos, the TikTok, the social media, all of it's designed to keep you distracted.
It's garbage.
So I heard this number one time, and forgive me, I don't remember. It was somebody famous and older, but they said something about, they said something about people, if somebody could focus for 2 minutes, they'd be a genius.
2 minutes, yeah.
2 minutes. They said people.
That's why I always get a big charge out of the meditation. Meditation, you can do tremendous things, folks. But what you don't hear about is the thousands and thousands and thousands. I've done, just in Aikido alone, I have over 50,000 hours on the mats. I'm a professional swordsman. I'm trained for urban warfare. And you have to be able to focus very strongly, because if in a sword fight, it's not like the movies. The thing touches you, you fall in half. Wow. It's the real deal, right?
Right.
So you can't, and in all those years, I cannot sit here in front of you and say that I can laser the present moment like that. My way is different. I operate through the divine. Yeah. I operate through the divine. I have a strong focus, but like the focus I used to heal my back when it was broken. I was only 27. I didn't know any of the stuff I know now, but I was crippled up. I'm living at home with mom, so I have food, shelter. Mm-hmm. I don't have to worry about survival. I have all day to focus exactly on programming my subconscious with a picture of me back in perfect shape.
Okay.
The subconscious's job is to make sure you equal the picture or the programming.
Absolutely.
That's its job. That's how I healed my back.
I have so many questions. I just trying to keep them all in my head. So the one that's popping into my head right now is, what about listening to certain megahertz while you're sleeping, or self-hypnosis tapes while you're sleeping? So do you recommend any of those techniques?
Yeah, they're all real good. Just do yourself one really big favor.
Yes.
A long time ago, I knew the founder of applied kinesiology is George Goodhart Jr.
Okay.
One of the greatest doctors that ever lived. And he told me, I asked him about that. I was back in my young 20s, strong martial artist. And he said, that's giving direct access of your subconscious mind to somebody.
Yeah.
So you got to make real sure somehow, some way, that you are not being programmed in a negative or bad way.
Yeah, I don't do it because of that. If I listen to something, I might listen to the actual just music with no words, because you're like, this thing's 8 hours long. How do I know what they're saying 4 hours in,
Music too, be careful. They use, that's what they use in all the media. It's very high sophisticated technology. Mm-hmm. They use a flicker rate. The flicker rate when you're watching the show or listening to the music, it puts you in a theta brainwave pattern to program you. And all you have to do is look at how fast they shut the whole world down with the fake pandemic nonsense.
Right.
In just a matter of days, folks, they close the entire world. And the compliance is because of brainwashing. You have to understand that.
I believe it 1,000%. So that leads to the obvious question of what should we be listening to or doing while we're sleeping, if anything?
Well, here's what I do in my case. I've never used that because I never trusted who the producers were.
Right.
You can make your own. Remember now, it's very easy to take some recording material and you can make your own tapes.
I have done that. I have several on YouTube, but go ahead.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
So if you do that, and then you always select anything you're going to learn, you always select the finest people. The biggest concern I have now is, and it's the biggest mistake that they ever made, they're trying to learn, people are trying to learn from AI. Never do that.
Oh,
Just
God.
think for 5 seconds what that does. Do you understand the term lineage? Lineage means there's a connection from me to this great teacher, who's connected to that great teacher, who's connected to that craft, that's called a lineage. Okay. Now, we're human beings. So that's why I don't care about my academic education. I studied directly from great masters. That's the only education I care about. So what happens is, human beings have feelings and heart. I know what it means to suffer. I know what it means to be exhilarated. I know what it means to have a broken heart. I know what it means to be crippled and smashed to pieces. I'm alive. I don't study from a machine.
Right.
I use machines.
Right.
Once everyone is studying from AI, if that ever happens, I hope it don't, that you just broke the humanity's lineage.
Gotcha.
And then you're then you're finished.
Wow. Okay, so for all of my female listeners, and I shouldn't say that, that's probably sexist, but most of my listeners, or the majority, I'll say the majority, even of my podcast listeners, 60% of them are female. So you mentioned that you were married. Do you use what you know, your expertise, and all of your information to attract a great partner, spouse?
Oh, I got her. I
got her. I was trying not to ask because I didn't want to, in case you said
I'm at her home here. This is Zoe's home, and I met my dream baby. She's my girl.
All
8
right.
years.
So basically, what I try to tell a few people, not very many, when we talk about getting themselves together financially, which is what I talk about every day, ideally I want to go in and say, well, your head's messed up. It's not your money, it's your head, because your head dictates your money, it dictates your health, it dictates your relationships. And most people can't handle, when I say most people, at least most Americans can't handle you telling them that they don't have their head screwed on right. So going back to my original question, not that you didn't answer it, but I want to make sure I understood you correctly. The average person starting their journey, on their journey, trying to become enlightened, trying to expand their frontal cortex. And again, I hope they all call you. I hope everybody calls you.
I'll help them.
Right.
That's what I live for.
So, but inside, in lieu of that, which made me think of the sleeping thing, what should we be doing to expand that 95-5 ratio?
Okay, well, that's an excellent question. As far as removing cognitive dissonance, you will never do it with a meditation. So if it's removing cognitive dissonance, you need someone like myself that has a technology that can do it. Like if you see a real good hypnotherapist, they can remove cognitive dissonance. The only difference is with me, I'm in Thailand, you can be on Mars. I don't care where you are, and I'll just do it in real time. You don't have to come to my office. We don't need to put you in any trance or in anything. I just do it and that's it. So that's the convenience part of it.
Okay.
Now for yourself, meditations and brain reprogramming, the best brain reprogramming that I'm aware of in the world was developed by Ron Morris. It's called Psych K. Dr. Bruce Lipton, one of my most favorite people.
Yes.
I've been following his work for 30 years. He uses Psych K. I use Psych K now for 30 years. And then heart math. Heart math is absolutely peerless, super simple. See, if you do a consciousness model meditation, very hard. You can do consciousness meditation for 60 years and go nowhere.
Okay.
When you do an energy meditation, you go everywhere right away. Okay. So all heart math it was developed by Sarah Childrey, and director of research is Roland McCready, brilliant man. And all you do is you put your attention into your heart fundamentally, attention into your heart so that you're breathing and all your focus is on the heart.
Okay.
And then you just find someone or something, anything that allows you to easily generate deep feelings of gratitude or love. Gratitude or love. You hold that feeling in your heart for 5 minutes, and cortisol will drop 45%. DHEA will rise 45%. Your secretory IgA in your mouth can go up as high as 294%. That's your immune system. Brain in the cranium will synchronize to your heart rate variability rhythm, and you will be in a state of coherence. And here's the beauty of heart math. 5 minutes buys you 4 to 6 hours of sustained state.
Wow.
Now, if you understand epigenetics, if you understand frequency and resonance, that's the law of attraction on steroids. The difference between these kinds of things, like if you do brain reprogramming and let's say you do heart math, that is a superb way to advance your life.
Okay.
I've used it for like 30 years. All I want you to understand is it doesn't remove cognitive dissonance. It overlays it.
So you're answering my question. So what you're saying is, hey, once you get your cognitive dissonance and you get your past traumas and triggers taken care of, you can move forward with the heart math and what was the other one?
Heart math and Psych K. You can move forward without removing the cognitive dissonance.
But you're saying it's not what I hear what you're saying, at least what I believe you're saying is that you can do it, but you're still going to have to overcome that hurdle every once in a while.
Well, think of your consciousness and your reality like a big keyboard on a piano, except the keyboard goes for a few miles, lots and lots of keys. Okay. And they're all just sitting there. And then as you get up in the morning and you start to go through the day, anywhere you go, those certain keys get touched and they play. And each key has a certain story and a certain perception that goes with it.
Right.
So if you listen to Dr. Dispenza, for instance, when he's explaining about the subconscious and the way it locks in physiology. So let's say you have a chronic disease or a chronic condition.
Okay.
You wake up in the morning and about 90% of our thoughts are redundant.
Yep.
And about 95 or 85% of them, depending on who you listen to, they're all negative. That's all in the subconscious. So those keys keep getting touched, and that's the music you play, and so everything stays like that. Now, let's say you do Psych K, and let's say you do 21 days of a really good Psych K, so you're putting in precision, high performance behavior. So Psych K is for behavioral change. Okay. Now you're using that to instill the habits. Let's say he gives you a bunch of habits that he wants you to do so that you progress as an entrepreneur.
Right.
And you need to do these things all the time. So that you do that with Psych K, and you can automate anything in 7 days. That's all. 5 minutes, 7 days, 5 minutes a day for 7 days. It'll be automated. So that we can do. You're doing heart math. So you've lifted up your frequency, your vibration. You're in a state of real nice high coherence. But when you drive to work one day, you see a kid get run over by a car. And let's say that event, there's a big trigger in the subconscious when your little brother was killed by a car or something.
Right. None of
the Psych K or the heart math will help you now.
Right.
When it hits, it hits.
Okay.
Because in my case, I take care of post-traumatic stress syndrome in minutes. And all I do is I remove it. It's not necessary to have drugs and months of therapy. No. All I got to do is remove it. When I
Okay.
remove it, it's gone. It's gone.
Wow. You're blowing me away, man. I'm being serious. You're just blowing me away. This is, man, I often wonder, and this is going the wrong direction, but I often wonder why whoever they are, don't want us to be healthy. You're saying, hey, I can get rid of post-traumatic syndrome like that. And these guys have
the time.
Yeah, and they have a huge suicide rate. And so, I mean, there's so many things that we can do, that you can do, that you can teach us to do, that I'm anxious to go to your website and keep digging myself to learn how to continuously heal ourselves and to have ourselves grow and to be heart-centered, and to remove those cognitive dissonance and the triggers. Man, I just don't understand why it's not encouraged. I mean, why do they want us in that state? Go ahead.
It's just money.
Just money.
Like, for instance, the cancer industry, or even allopathy, it's always upset me so much. Over 100 years ago, landmark study in Moscow, a guy took the doc or scientist, he took a little vial of bacteria, and he took another little vial of colloidal silver, and he poured the colloidal silver on the bacteria, and they all died. So then he took another vial of bacteria. He took another vial of colloidal silver, but he put them apart. And then he shined a light through the colloidal silver onto the bacteria over here. And it died. And they all died.
Wow.
The reason why is the light is the carrier wave of the frequency of the colloidal silver, which kills the bacteria. You don't need to pour the physical colloidal silver on. So when you look at chemotherapy, they've known this all these years. You do not have to inject the chemotherapy. All you need is the frequency of the chemotherapy.
Right. Wow.
And then the person does not die. The person does not get sick. They is not necessary. And if you don't think I'm telling you the truth, you call up Lipton and you ask them.
I believe you with everything inside of me. I really do. I'm not, I mean, obviously this is going public. So if I was just bullshitting, then, people would call me on the carpet, but no, I believe you wholeheartedly. And one of the reasons we have you on the show is so that we can learn more, so that we can do more of our homework, so that we know who to reach out to, like yourself. Dr. Grant, I'm just speechless, man. I can go on and on and on.
Thank you. So can
I. And I'm going to have you back, or at least I'm going to ask you.
I love that
to come back, and we're going to come back, and we're going to tackle just some things just for business owners, some entrepreneur type things, and we're going to talk about those things. Is there anything that you want to share that I missed that you just think is critical to share, with the community?
Yeah, especially because you're a wealth coach. There's one thing that you need to do for yourself with no exceptions.
Okay.
And that is to develop wealth consciousness. Okay. And wealth consciousness is something that you can control and handle yourself.
Okay.
And all it means is this. I did it when I got here to Thailand, and it works. It will never fail you. Wealth consciousness means that you choose to only notice what you do have, what is working, and you have to check your languaging very carefully. Like if you open the fridge and there's no beer in there, if you say, I don't have any beer, or I don't have any. Or if you look at something you want and you say, I can't afford that. Always remember the universe will only says one thing and one thing only. Okay. It says it in real time now. So if I open up something, I say, I don't have any. Okay. And you don't have any. If I used to say all the time before I understood this stuff, I want to do that, but I can't afford it. So I never could afford it. So what you have to say is, you open the fridge and you say, I'm out of beer. I'll have to go get some. Now, what did you just do? Even if you're as poor as a church mouse, the languaging says, I can go and get more beer. Or if I see something I want, and right now I don't have that much money in the bank to buy it, because I only pay cash. If I don't have, I can say I can afford it. I choose not to right now. So I'm always empowering myself.
Excellent.
Now, how does this stuff work? It's just brain neurology. When you are noticing abundance or what you do have, and you feel grateful for it, no matter how little it is, you keep the frontal cortex lit up.
Okay.
The frontal cortex is connected to the motivation centers of your brain, and that keeps your frequency up. That's why people like Tony Robbins, those kind of men, like our host, they have what I call, as John Assaraf calls, a positivity quotient. Positivity quotient has got to be there. Otherwise, the amygdala gets lit up, cortisol starts, blood shunts away from the frontal cortex, and you're going down. Now, all of the positivity quotient is another fancy way to say wealth consciousness. It means minimum you need a 3-to-1 ratio.
Wow.
What I mean by that is this, okay? Do I have enough time to say this?
Oh, you got plenty of time.
Okay. A positivity quotient 3-to-1 means, let's say I take a hit, like I go to, I want to drive to Chiang Mai, the city, and I get to my car and it's got a flat tire. So that's like a negative and a downer, and then my agenda is screwed up and all kinds of stuff. I need a minimum of 3 things that I can instantly reframe to that are good, strong, working, and give me a sense of security right away.
Right away.
Now, when you see the big boys that are millionaires, they have positivity quotients 10-to-1, 9-to-1, 8-to-1. So even if the guy loses $1 million, it doesn't matter to him at all. He can shift to the to all of the positive reframing, and he's untouched, and that's real power.
Yes,
and
it
then
is.
by resonance, when you're holding your frequency up like that, and you have the wealth consciousness, you're always seeing only what works, and what you do have, you will get more. It's by resonance. It's law. That's the way the whole game works.
I'm in. I am in. Wow, you have really blessed us with so much in such a small window, and I am personally grateful and excited. I might not be able to go to sleep now. What I had planned on introducing you, and I forgot. I was gonna say, this dude is so bad, he's already in tomorrow. So it is 8 o'clock in Eastern time, and what time is it there? It's
I don't know. I
mean, it's like 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you to come back. I enjoyed every second of this. I loved every second. I thank you so much. Hang tight right there, and I'm going to close out, and then we'll chop it up real quick.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome. Wow. If you do not watch this like 6 times with a pen and pad, taking notes, and then hitting that website. I mean, I put it up for you longer on this show than any other show, because you need to reach out to this guy. Now, listen, I teach all the time. Come to me. We're going to give you the shortcut, because we have the knowledge and the expertise and the 30 years of how to get people in a great financial spot. He just told you he's going to give you the shortcut. You can meditate. If you want to stop working and meditate all day and to figure it out, great. But you're going to be broke, and you're going to be out of your house, and it's going to backfire on you. He's telling you he's going to bring you the shortcut. I suggest that you at least reach out. You start absorbing his information and seeking more. of his attention, his advice, his insights, his content. I know I am. He's going straight up to the top of the list on some of the things that I look for. I'm going to watch all those YouTube videos that he has. Now, I want you to like, share this. Now, listen, I always ask people to share, but this is no bullshit. You got to share this one, right? We do not have time to try to reinvent the wheel. Go get some help, fix it, and then start doing your work, the work that you may have already been doing. Now you know. It's the heart math. It's the Psych-K. I mean, man, I'm telling you, I didn't know anything about either one of those, okay? I'm going to be on both those. My work is important to me, and getting where I need to be faster. I like that yellow brick road, man. It's going to take me right where I want to go. Those other paths, just take you out of the way. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm Derick Gant. Be your best. Bring your best. Leave nothing to chance. Have a great week.